All right, this one is vocab and it's just categorized as other, so it just doesn't fit into any of the other vocab categories. So vocab always means word knowledge, right? So that's one of the four big categories. The four categories. There's only four categories that make up your ASVAB score, right? So there's two verbal categories and two math categories. Um, so it makes up 25% of your score. So it's important, and learning how to get better at this stuff will help you. So number one way to raise your word knowledge score or your vocab score is to read more, right? So usually that would mean our hope is for 15 minutes a day and to try to read, like something that interests you. If it can relate to the military, that's even better because there are military type words that show up. Uh, so blogs, magazines, whatever. And the other way is to spend more time in the Whip Smart app, right? As you spend more time in it, how to see more and more of these questions, that will also boost your vocabulary of words that tend to show up a lot on the ASVAB. Okay, so let's jump into this. So we got two of these. So it says they listen intensely to the eulogy. Okay, and so when I do these examples, so if you know what the word means and you know what all the answer choices mean, it's pretty simple, right? If you either don't, so like if you don't know what eulogy means, or if there's an answer choice or more than one answer choice where you don't know what the word means, then it gets trickier. And then we're working on how to eliminate answers just to improve our chances of getting the right answer, even without knowing the actual words. Again, knowing more words comes from reading more and spending time in the app. Okay, so let's look at the answer choices. Uh, Eulogy, a spoken tribute. Could that be what eulogy means? Maybe. Right. And so when I don't know, like if I don't know the actual word here, eulogy, is what I'm looking for is, are there two words that mean like the same thing? Right. So if there's two words that or two answer choices that are very, very similar or mean the same thing, they're probably both incorrect. So that would be great if I could eliminate two answers if there's two answer choices that seem very similar. Okay. Spoken tribute, a mournful poem. Okay. Maybe, I don't know, a lawful declaration and a religious sermon. Okay. So as I look at all of those, none of them seem really all that similar. Uh, it does seem like, the spoken tribute, the lawful declaration, religious sermon, those are all, public speaking kind of things, sounds like. The poem, again, perhaps. So anyway, it's hard to really eliminate any of these answers. And so in this case, we just happened to pick one where I couldn't eliminate any answers. And so unfortunately, this could occasionally happen. I would think about mournful poem, to me would strike me as very unlikely, right? Because they said they listened intensely to the mournful poem. I would tend to think like you would pick different types of descriptive words if you were talking about a mournful poem. Like it would be much more like they listened sadly or tearfully or something like that to the mournful poem. Intensely and mournful don't connect great. The other ones we don't know. Okay, so maybe you could have eliminated one there, and so sometimes that's just the best you can do, right? And they throw a tricky one, and the answer choices don't help us that much. It's possible to listen intensely to a spoken tribute, lawful declaration, religious sermon. They all seem possible to me. So in a lot of cases, so let's go to the answer choice. And the best sometimes we can do is just learn a new word. Okay. So here we have a eulogy. So it's the fourth one down here. A eulogy is a speech or piece of writing that praises someone or something highly. Okay. So that seems like that's the first answer choice, right? So we go back to other, right? So that seems like the spoken tribute, right? And so it ends up that is the correct answer, is the spoken tribute. Okay, so that was a tough one. If we didn't know eulogy, that would be a tough one to get right. But now we know what eulogy means. If it shows up, we'll remember it. Okay, it is a commonly used answer choice on the ASVAB. So let's go to the next one. After being arrested, the suspect was nondescript in his interrogation. Okay, so nondescript. Okay, and so what kind of answers would we be looking for here? Right, so if it was descript, then there would be a bunch of details. Okay, if it's nondescript, there's not a lot of details, not a lot of stuff that separates one thing from another, right? It seems like very regular, right? So that would be that's how I'd be thinking about nondescript, like a very regular description, right? We had a hard time differentiating. Sorry about the handwriting. Differentiating this suspect, it's just everything seems the same, regular, same, something like that. Okay, answer choices. First one, ordinary. Yes, that seems very likely. Okay, so we like that one, but let's see the other ones. Second one, special. No, that would be much more descript, right? Nondescript, we would not like that one. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get rid of special. Unique. Okay, and so let's say you weren't able to figure out that nondescript, meant like regular. Like, okay, special and unique are very, very similar type answers. Yes, something that's special, something that's unique. They don't mean exactly the same thing, but they're very similar, right? So even without knowing what nondescript means, I should be able to eliminate both special and unique. Okay, because they mean like two answers can't mean the same thing. And then finally, lethargic. Okay, so that is not the same as regular. Lethargic would mean more like tired or something like that, right? Okay, so regardless of this, like say you weren't quite sure what lethargic meant, and then you had got it down to it's either lethargic or ordinary. Okay, and then you'd probably have to guess. That'd probably be a 50-50. But if you think about nondescript, all you're saying is it's when you look at, so lethargic's wrong, the answer is ordinary. Okay. But if you're going back into nondescript and you weren't sure what it means, like a lot of times people don't know what a word means, but they don't try to break it apart at all. They just say like, I don't know, and then they just end up guessing. Okay, so nondescript. So you have non, right, which means it's not something, and then descript, really just short for like describing something, like descriptive characteristics, details, things like that. So if you try to break the words apart, a lot of times you'll find out, well, actually, I know what it means. I've just never really heard it used before. Okay, so that's vocab other. So that second one, a good example of how to get rid of at least two of the answers, which really shows up in almost every vocab video. We want to be able to eliminate answer choices when we don't know even if we don't know what the word means. First one is a tough one, right? If you don't know what eulogy means, given those answer choices, it's tough, right? But hopefully we now know eulogy relates to a spoken tribute.